What's up guys, Blade Master here, going to be bringing you round 2, game 2 between Silverwind and Killerzombie. Now, Killerzombie won with Rome. He does not have access to the strongest faction for the rest of the tournament now. But at least he managed to win. It was a narrow victory. Silverwind almost edged out with his side choice. But now he has the first faction and map choice. Let's take a look at what he's decided to bring. He has gone with these guys, Ardiaei. Ardiaei is a very strong faction in unit ban. Not the strongest, but can be very, very powerful. Because of course you cannot ban Illyrian Hoplites since they're the only general unit available to them. So he's picked Ardiaei in Nemedocena. While that might seem like not the smartest idea, because you know Hoplites, you want them to be defensive, you want to bring a lot of forest, but take a look at their charge bonus. These guys have a 30 charge bonus. A lot of their units, especially the very essential Celtic warriors and axe warriors, have depend a lot on their charge hitting, right? So you would prefer something like Nemedocena. So good map choice, good faction choice by Silverwind. Very powerful stuff. Now Killerzombie on the other hand has decided to take Armenia, which just as well benefits from Nemedocena and open ground, but can be destroyed by a couple of powerful bans, which of course I do not know. So hold on. Okay, so sorry. So the bans for Ardiaei, Ardiaei don't have access, or Ardiaei doesn't have access to Illyrian Hoplites and Illyrian Thureos spears. And Armenia doesn't have access to Royal Cataphracts and Eastern Cataphracts. Yeah, Eastern Cataphracts and Royal Cataphracts. So not removing Royal Cataphracts means that they either bring the what are they called, the Armenian Spearmen, or Noble Spearmen, and Azad Knights, both of whom kind of suck. So in that sense, I mean, Royal Cataphracts not the best ban choice. I would have maybe banned. I don't know what I would have banned. Maybe Persian cavalry. Would have banned Persian cavalry, and then 2 or 3. You can only manage to bring like 2 or 3 Royal Cataphracts without completely crippling your army because they're so expensive. So I wouldn't have really been too worried about Royal Cataphracts. But banning them also has its own unique advantage in that Killerzombie is forced to bring the Azad Knights, which we all know is a pretty shit, very overpriced cavalry unit that won't do anything against Ardiaei, because Ardiaei most likely won't bring cav, and it's an anti-cav weapon more than anything else, the Azad Knights, I mean. So without access to Illyrian Hoplites and Illyrian Thureos spears, they are still Ardiaei is still in pretty decent position, because they can bring they have complete access to their melee infantry line. So honestly, if I was Killerzombie with an Armenian, so okay, Killerzombie, he knew he was going to pick Armenia, so in that sense, banning the Illyrian Thureos spears is a very good idea. But I personally wouldn't have banned the Illyrian Hoplites. I would have banned one of the mercenary Celtic or mercenary axe warriors, one of them, personally. So and the reason why I would have done that is because Illyrian Hoplites, even if he brings 5 or 6 of them, they just won't stand to a charge as well as Illyrian Noble Hoplites, in my opinion. But I guess, I mean, all in all, it's a very solid ban choice. I would definitely give the massive upper hand to Ardiaei though. So let's see, 4 slave slingers brought by Silverwind against 4 Eastern slingers. Now you might think that the Eastern slingers would win out, but the slave slingers are probably even stronger than the Germanic slingers, because slave slingers have just as good a missile block chance as the Germanic slingers. They have something like 55 or 60% missile block. The only reason why we never see them is because who's going to bring slingers with Ardiaei with their exceptional armor? So in that sense, it's a great unit that's placed into the wrong army, basically. That being said, they will trade insanely cost effectively with the Eastern slingers of Armenia. Meanwhile, 2 Illyrian Marines brought by Ardiaei. Of course, Illyrian Marines fulfill the exact same role as Illyrian Thureos spears, except they're a bit more expensive. But yeah, and they don't have access to cavalry counter tactics, so he's essentially brought a much less cost-effective Thureos spear unit in the Illyrian Marines. But they have excellent attack potential against cavalry. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 Illyrian Marines, strangely, brought by Silverwind. 2 in the center, 2 chasing off the 2 horse archers brought by Armenia, and 4 of those horse archers have already died. Again, trading most likely going to trade very cost effectively. These slave slingers only losing 1 unit, and the Eastern slingers are smartly focus firing on the slave slingers. Now Persian cavalry coming in, feinting a charge. they're most likely going to take unnecessary casualties. These are Persian cavalry are probably the worst units you want to use for this role, because look at that armor, 40 armor. They have no missile block chance. Even against shitty slingers like slave slingers, they will take damage, and they might even drop by a couple of units. So 4 Illyrian Marines, 4 slave slingers, obviously a line of 6 noble hoplites spread very thin, 1 2 3 4 5 6 there, and we can see 3 mercenary Celtic warriors, and then maybe an Illyrian spearman. Yeah, Illyrian spearman and 2 Illyrian cavalry. Illyrian cavalry actually pretty decent at chasing off enemy cavalry because they have that 15 bonus versus large. So we'll do very well chasing off Persian cavalry. Now let's see, for Armenia we have 1 2 3 Axemen on the left flank. We have 3 4 so total of 4 Axemen, 2 Kartli Axemen in the center, 4 slave eastern slingers, one of whom is almost dead, a couple of Persian hoplites to make up some numbers. We also have 1 2 3 4 Persian cavalry and an Azad Knights general, and of course 2 horse archers. So especially seeing that the eastern slingers are getting smashed by the slave slingers, this game has already taken a huge turn for the worse for Armenia. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this on these guys' cam. Let's see, because these guys are really MVPs, I would say. Already they've fulfilled their MVP role, because they've destroyed possibly the biggest threat that that Armenia possesses against Ardiaei. Now Illyrian Marines going to charge into Illyrian Hoplites, Persian Hoplites. Illyrian Marines 22 charge bonus might actually do pretty well against. Yeah, much better stats than these guys. What do these guys? Yeah, they do. They have much better stats. Now Persian Hoplites, yeah, they're charging in. Persian Hoplites not popped Hoplite phalanx. The Persian cavalry going to charge through their own Hoplites. Going to do not much damage on the impact, and they might actually take a lot of unnecessary casualties there. Mercenary Celtic warriors, if they get that javelin volley onto these Persian cavalry, oh, it's going to be a huge mistake. I guess fire drill was turned off. All in all, Persian cavalry managed to pull out there without taking many casualties, but they're going to take some rear shots, losing about 4 units off that charge, while not inflicting any casualties, like only 14. Persian Hoplite is dying now, especially since Celtic warriors have come into support on the right flank. On the left flank, nothing major going on. Slingers still getting destroyed by slave slingers. Look at that. Look at how cost effectively these guys have traded against Eastern slingers. Managed to rout 2. Yeah, 2 of them have basically routed. No, one of them is still at 63 men. Only one is routed, whereas 2 of them have gotten destroyed for the Eastern slingers, I mean. Now, it's going to be the Illyrian noble hoplites proving their worth against the much more inferior Kartli Axemen. Kartli Axemen will do very nicely against the armor of the Illyrian noble hoplites, I would think. I want to take this on. I want to see how well they do, because they have those heavily armor-piercing, armor-penetrating damage axes. But look at that, 13 kills off the charge by 14 kills, 16 kills off the charge by these Illyrian noble hoplites. And now they're going to pop hoplite phalanx. Shield wall popped for Kartli Axemen. Let's see if it bugs out on either one of them. Some of them are moving around, which is not ideal. Here, not popped. Now, hoplite phalanx popped. These Illyrian Marines were in very thin formation, and the Persian cavalry managed to get a great charge in. Getting charges in on the Illyrian Marines like that is essential for Armenia to win this game. Ooh, Illyrian cavalry caught the Azad Knights there. Here, Persian cavalry charging into Illyrian cavalry, destroying them off the charge. Well done. Persian cavalry, I think they rear charged the Illyrian noble hoplites. Yeah, you can see they're losing, and the hoplite wall is kind of bugging out here, as you can see. So they're taking so many unnecessary casualties, which is why I wouldn't use hoplite phalanx anymore. 52 kills. Kartli Axemen actually starting to prove their worth there, because that's the axis coming into play there. Here, Axemen going to charge into Celtic warriors, doing great against the Axemen, and Illyrian Marines going to absorb the charge from the Azad Knights, and meanwhile more Illyrian Marines turning around, beautiful by Silverwind. Azad Knights going to take so much damage there, and the horse archers doing some friendly fire as well. One Illyrian cavalry remains, and it's going to charge in through the center gap and then hit all of these eastern slingers. And more importantly, it gives them access to rear charge these Kartli Axemen and give them that essential morale debuff. Illyrian noble hoplites 105 kills. I think they slaughtered that Axemen on the flank. The Axemen don't even have access to shield wall, so they're just crap units. getting a second charge in, or getting an extra charge in with the mercenary Celtic warriors against shield-walled Kartli Axemen. And here the general, 59 units left, 70 kills on Kartli Axemen. Kartli Axemen actually punching well above their weight here. And I think this is one of the few engagements where Kartli Axemen will really prove their worth. Because the Illyrian Noble Hoplites, of course... Ooh, the general recently died with 55 men. Wow. But that means some of the crappier units like the... no. Okay, they're still eager. The mercenary Celtic warriors are still eager, even though the general recently died. Kartli Axemen, just too many army losses here for Armenia. And the general, for the Azerbaijani general, must be destroyed at this point. Yeah, he's nowhere to be seen, but I guess he hasn't died. Horse archers taking damage from the Illyrian Marines. They're going to be firing one more javelin volley, and that's going to do a lot of damage. Yeah, look at how many of those horse archers die. Persian cavalry here, 34 men left, going to charge into the rear of these Illyrian Noble Hoplites, just destroying them. Persian cavalry, if you can micromanage them well, can be very, very deadly. But just as easily, like, you know, Persian cavalry can lose so many men off the charge because they just don't have staying power, that it is very tricky to use them. Here, this Axeman got a double XP shot. I'm not even sure what they were killing. Illyrian Noble Hoplites, again, the fact that even if they don't perform cost effectively, just bringing 6 of them is enough to just overwhelm your opponents. It's kind of like a Roman game, where even if the Roman infantry don't all prove to be cost effective, just through sheer numbers, they manage to win you the game. Illyrian cavalry taking damage here, and Persian cavalry half strength remains. Illyrian cavalry at around half strength also remains. They're going to just need some rear charges and it's basically over. Yeah, Persian cavalry at 16 units here. Horse archers, I think they're most likely out of ammo. Oh no, they still have ammo. The Illyrian cavalry going to chase after them. Here, full strength Illyrian Noble Hoplite is going to destroy these Persian cavalry, I would think. Yeah. Game's basically over. Hold on. Let me see if I can... nothing really. No real great thumbnail material. I'm going to keep it for the... I'm going to keep it on the slave slingers for now. Costly enemy victory. So Silverwind manages to pull back game 2. As you can see, one of his Illyrian Noble Hoplites, the one that got rear charged by those Persian cavalry, did nothing. 60 kills and got destroyed. The Illyrian Noble Hoplites general too didn't do very well. After the initial charge where they got around 16 kills on the Kartli Axemen, the Kartli Axemen actually managed to pull back a lot of kills. I think there was this one. The other Kartli Axemen though, only 35 kills. These Axemen, one of them did very well. For the most part, they didn't do very well, which is why don't like Kartli Axemen. Illyrian Marines didn't do much, but proved to be the nuisance that they are. As I predicted, 29 kills only before they died, and Eastern Slingers did nothing compared to the Slave Slingers. So you can see the cost effectiveness of the Slave Slingers proving there. The one Illyrian cavalry that managed to charge into the Eastern Slingers did pretty well too. So well played to Silverwind. Let's see who wins round 2 then, because this is going into game 3. So you guys stay tuned. Peace.